and Vicki. I really wanted everyone to hear about what you're doing. And yes, it is, you're still on the journey, but it was so exciting to watch the changes as they were happening over the months. And so what I wanted to do was take a few minutes. We've had several questions come in, and we know some people might need to leave a little early because we are going to go a little over time, but we had so much time, so much to share with you that we hope you can stay on, and we'll address some of the questions that have come up. And one of the first ones was from Stephanie, and it's for Vicki and Janna. In what ways do administrators and staff at Homer Elementary share student data with middle school and high school staff so that there's vertical collaboration?
I think that's part of the goal that Mr. Crabtree years ago had wanted to start. And so we have vertical and horizontal team meetings throughout the year. We have for the last couple of years. We also have a data analysis system that we use that the middle school and high school can look and see trends. And we do have meetings throughout the year, staff development built in to where we get together and we look at what the data is showing us and what is working for one group that may need to be the change element for another group.
And let me add, Mr. Crabtree is their superintendent, and so they do have, which is a very good place to be in, good support from their superintendent as well. So let me ask, what role does the PLC play in creating this data literate culture in your district and in your school? Professional learning communities?
One of the advantages of being a small district is that when we have professional development opportunities, we easily fit into one auditorium together. There are not that many of us, and so we share families. We know it's a community, and so that helps because we do have that conversation both formally and informally with people in our entire district. So I'm sorry that I may not have answered your question well, Heidi.
Well, I think they're referring to is the grade level planning time.
Oh, okay.
And the very devoted to the data, looking at those conversations, which is often what PLCs are focused on. Do you want to talk about what's happening in your offices? And
as Vicki alluded to earlier, there is such, the collaboration is so much more focused. Just last week, as we were doing after-school duty, a teacher stayed after school to talk to us. She wanted to know, she had a particular student, and she could not make progress. He was still having the same difficulty, and she came to ask us, what suggestions do you have? What can I do to help him move from that level that he's particularly on right now? And I think that, just that collaboration between grade levels, between teachers, between administrators has been valuable in moving our students.
It's been interesting because those are posted in our office, and we're often carrying those around the school depending on where we're having our meetings, and they're updated with all of the current progress monitoring. And I'll see teachers taking their phones out and taking a little snapshot of their grouping that they have assigned to them so that they're getting every piece of information that either the speech teacher may have put on for us, if they have speech errors or whatever. It's all on that little piece of paper so that they know everything about their students.
Okay, one more for you, and then we're going to jump over and ask Ellen and Diana some questions. How do you know if your teacher teams are using the data and working together? And you've talked to me, I know whenever I was here on a tour, and you were talking about some teachers that bought into it and some that did not. How did you know?
For me, it was obvious because those students were not making those gains. At those progress monitoring benchmarks, they were not making the gains. And the students that were receiving that instruction that was based on the data were. And particularly in fourth grade, it was when students were receiving that instruction, they were making gains.
I think too, just walkthroughs, because we're hearing just lots of conversation informally in the halls. You step inside a classroom door, you're seeing it happen. You're seeing all those phonemic awareness skills being, really emphasized. For instance, if that's the group of kids who have those skills lacking, and then that in turn they're even where they're seeing that the deficiencies are consistent in a grade level, whichever grade level or whatever it is. Hopefully, when we're doing classroom observations, we're noticing that teachers are then emphasizing those in whole group instruction as well. So you know that they're really internalizing that.
One, as Ms. Wilson was talking, that reminded me, in 5th grade, our students have become aware if they don't understand something, to say something, to say, I don't understand that. And this particular teacher that in 5th grade will use a 1, 2, 3. And after they've had instruction, she will say, okay, 1, give me a number 1 if you've got it. Give me a number 2 if you think, I'm not real sure. Or give me number 3 if you really need some added instruction. And so they will actually put up 1, 2, or 3. And it's not, initially, everyone would put up their finger at number 1 because they all wanted to be the ones that got it. And they suddenly realized, you know what, it's not about being the first one. It's about really learning what's being taught. And so you have students now, you can walk in there and they will put up a 3, I didn't get it. And one of the experts, maybe one of the students that did get it, will go work with that group, or the teacher will call them back immediately and address those issues.
That's a really good point, because one thing I've noticed is teachers are not sticking to those lesson plans as strictly. They're giving themselves permission that if there's not mastery of a skill, even with whole group instruction, they're realizing now I need to step back and I need to reteach, or I need to go at that a different way. And then they'll email me and say, my lesson plans are being altered. If you come in for an observation, you notice that. So it's been exciting to see that it's changing instruction.
Okay, now I have a question for everyone. And Ellen and Diana, you might want to start, and then we'll come back and see if Janna and Vicki want to add. Where do you start? How do you start?
This is Ellen. Let me begin by saying making sure that educators have a belief in data, that they're going to make a difference in their classroom practices and in helping their students, and helping them to become data literate, knowing the skills, knowing the knowledge that they need to use the data, because they will become more confident in their use of data and be able to use it more effectively that way. So I would start with the human infrastructure.
And I agree, and thinking very strategically about your particular context, the way teachers are already meeting, what are the structures that are in place, whether it's the curriculum team, the school improvement team, the parent engagement committee. These are all opportunities for teachers to start asking the questions. And as we focus those questions and then provide them with the skills for what they can do to help begin to answer those questions, looking at, well, what evidence could we gather, what do we already have that could point us in the right direction. So building that human capacity, starting with some of the questions, how are we doing? And where are things working in the school? What isn't working? And begin to build teachers' own curiosity and being a part of answering those questions, rather than feeling like they're working independently and someone outside of the classroom is going to attend to that. It's not a one-size-fits-all. It really takes everyone in the building, and it takes leaders thinking strategically about how do we begin it, how do we demonstrate our support, how do we make the changes at the leadership level in order to really support teachers and value the work that they're doing, in order to get to the place where Janna and Vicki's teachers are, where they're okay saying, you know what, I made some changes on the fly to my lesson plan because here's what I found out when I did the first 20 minutes of this lesson today.
Let me add to what Diana said. What she just intimated is that this is a systemic perspective that's needed. It can't just be about different components. They're all linking. So the fact of providing professional development, having a data system, providing for common planning time, all of those require the leadership and the vision. So they all interact, and a lot of it starts with leadership.
And I would go on to say that for us here at Homer, that this process, this journey, it's continually self-reflecting to see what we did, what worked, and we've already been discussing what we can do next year to improve, what things did work for us, what didn't, and I think that the teachers will encourage our teachers to do the same. What things, because they're the ones in the battlefield, they're the ones that are actually taking that data and using it. So we want to be able to listen to them to see what they would change and how we could support that. But I think it's a continual reflection and review of what you're doing.
Which really ties in neatly to the next question that's come up in various ways. And I know, Diana, you've been training for many years, so I want to hear that from your part as well as how do you gain this teacher buy-in? You started off and...
Well, you started off and you communicate that vision, you demonstrate and model that vision, and then you invite the input from the teacher teams every opportunity that you can, formally and informally, to sit and meet with them. And then as you meet with individual teachers, to ask them, what are they seeing in their classroom? How are they approaching that? What other helps do they think they need in that? And what you do is have to hold it out there and continue the press until teachers themselves begin to experience a change in the learning that they're seeing as a result of something that they did intentionally in response to what they're seeing in their student learning, so that they see the power of what they were able to uncover. As you heard Vicki and Janna speaking, at first teachers were thinking it was fact and opinion that were holding our kids up, but when they took that next step and realized, no, our students are really, they've mastered this, they really get that, but when the complexity of the text increases and the vocabulary increases, well, that was powerful for teachers. They discovered that themselves because they kept up at it. And what we have to do as leaders, technical assistance providers, is support teachers until they reach that point so that they see the direct impact of a change that they've made in response to what they're seeing in their data. And that gives them the confidence then to continue and begins to really help them embrace it and feel confident in using it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Diana. And we have one last question. And this, I believe, may relate to you, Ellen. And would you share your observations about training educators to use data in schools to implement this multi-tiered system of support that we've heard described by Vicki and Janna?
Happy to. I mean, this is a very complex question because it can't just start with folks like Diana working in a school district through professional development. That's a big part. And further, not every school district can bring in or afford the real professional development providers. It may be a turnkey model within a school district of principals training and providing as much professional development as possible. My firm belief is that this has to start as early in an educator's career as possible in schools of education, and that requires a change in how schools of education function because they don't have the necessary people who can go out and teach about data literacy. And by that I mean a standalone course. There just aren't that many professors who can do that. So what I've been doing recently with my research group is working with schools of education and funders to try and figure out ways how to integrate the concepts of data literacy that come from a training program like the Using Data model at TERC that Diana leads into as an integrated model into schools of education. So by that I mean having existing professors begin to integrate the concepts of data literacy into a methods course, into a content course, have it spread throughout a teacher preparation program, as well as their practical experiences as they go out to become practice teachers. That way, it is instilled in them that the use of data is a common methodology that is expected of them when they go out into practice after they graduate. And then it can become further enculturated and grow further through additional experiences as they are a practicing teacher.
Well, thank you so very much, Janna, Vicki, Ellen, and Diana. This has been a very engaging and I think very thoughtful presentation. I hope everyone will find things that they will be able to use, pieces, not everything, as I believe it was Ellen said earlier, you're not going to transplant it exactly the way you saw it, but make it work in your context. And send us additional questions, and we will see what we can do for you. But in the meantime, please go to the stakeholder feedback survey. Let us know what worked, what was useful, what could be improved, how can we meet your needs. And your feedback on this survey is very, very valuable to us. And we do thank you and hope you have a great day. Bye.